This is Bellator 180 MMA in Madison Square Garden. This is the big event. Shortly, we will be taking you to post. We'll be speaking to the athletes about their performance in the cage, what went right, what went wrong. And now, let's go to post.
This question's for Zach Freeman. Zach, congratulations on the win. Just where does this rank in terms of life moments, getting that win at Madison Square Garden when everyone had doubted you?
Well, James, funny you ask, because you're actually one of the guys that interviewed me yesterday. I think the only one. So you're actually one of the guys that I was only going to give my time to tonight. You know, you guys should give everybody a chance. Give everybody that interview. Don't just huddle around the guys who got all the hype. Give everybody a chance. And thank you, too, for your question, Ariel. So I'll be more than happy to meet with you guys and talk more in depth, but this means a lot to me. I've worked my entire life. I've wrestled since I was 6 years old. My first wrestling coach was an Olympic silver medalist, Sam Henson. You know, I've worked hard too. I just haven't had quite the opportunities that others have. But I did get this opportunity and I made it count. And I'm sure I spoiled some plans, and you know, I'm sure they'll be throwing some heavy hitters at me.
And do you have to go right back to work on Monday?
Actually, I go back to work Tuesday.
Good to get a bit of time off. And just one more question for Brent. Brent, congratulations on winning the title. I know probably not the way you wanted it to go, but you know, where does this, you know, as far as, you know, getting the title and everything, you know, how happy are you just to achieve this goal and, you know, remain undefeated?
On top of the world, man. It was great. You know, I got to thank God for this life and this opportunity, and I'd really like to thank Scott Coker and Bellator for believing in me. They signed me when I was only 2-0 as a pro, and man, I feel blessed, and I'm so lucky for them giving me the chance and getting in there and fighting with one of the best lightweights in the world, Michael Chandler, and it was an honor to throw some hands with that guy, and man, I'm on top of the world. I'm the lightweight world champion.
Brent, I just have a question. How does it feel that you took a belt from someone who got injured and you didn't actually win the fight?
Well, I injured him in the fight to stop the fight, so I feel like I won. But you know, I've been practicing those low leg kicks for a while, and I've been practicing with Coach Oyama, and I've been kicking the crap out of my teammates, and that low kick has been, you know, really injuring my training partners, and I'm sorry for all my training partners that I've been kicking the crap out of for the last few months. But that low kick is, man, it's deadly and it hurts people, and I showed it tonight.
Okay, and I have one question for Fedor. Fedor, do you plan on coming back to the U.S. and having a rematch with Matt Mitrone?
Хотел бы ты иметь реванш с Митроном? Да, можно было бы, конечно, хотел бы, потому что, ну, скажем, движение прошло обоюдное, и Мэтт чуть раньше восстановился.
Well, certainly I would love to have the rematch with Matt Mitrione. So it happened so that the movements were just mutual one, and certainly Matt used the situation.
Just to dovetail on what happened in the Primus fight, this is for Scott. Do you have any update on Chandler's injury?
We don't have an update right now. I think Michael went to the hospital to x-ray his leg, so we should have something, I would say, first thing in the morning.
And quick for Doug Lima. That was a lot of really solid connections when you were infighting, when the brawls happened. Was that something you were looking to go after, or is it just in the moment?
Yeah, I always like to trade blows trade blows like that. I think that left hook always lands, so it's good when he comes forward like that. I was able to put him down once. Tough kid, wasn't able to finish, but, it's a tough fight.
Lloyd, Douglas, during your fight, or before your fight rather, you talked about your position in the world, as far as people ranking Bellator fighters versus fighters in other organizations. You've defeated a dangerous fighter, a guy who was probably ranked above you in these world rankings we talk about. So how do you feel about that accomplishment?
Feels good. You know, like you said, he's ranked top 7, top 5 in the world. And, you know, I just beat him, beat him pretty soundly too. So hopefully now I get some respect, that I belong here. I belong in the top 10. You know, I've always wanted tough fights like that. And, it feels really good. Hopefully people will show a little more, recognize me a little more right now.
For Matt. So you're facing a guy who's by all accounts a legendary and probably one of the best heavyweights in MMA ever. Now, was there any feeling of feeling starstruck, like I'm really facing this guy? I mean, did that ever come into play as far as you, from the time you were given this opponent until you actually stepped into the cage?
No, but he's thanks. No, there was no. I wasn't starstruck at all, but he's really, really good. He is easily the best person I've ever fought. You can see his mind, his fight IQ is off the charts. Like he runs like a calculator when you see him. Like you can see his eyes. He's looking at your hips and your feet and your hips and your feet and looking at your hands and your shoulders, and he's calculating everything you're doing. I mean, he's very, very good at what he does. That's why and he's not arguably the greatest heavyweight of all time. He is the greatest heavyweight of all time. He's arguably the best fighter of all time, though.
Gareth A. Davis from The Telegraph. Obviously, congratulations, Zach Freeman, but perhaps I could ask you, Aaron. Obviously, a very difficult night for you tonight because so much has been written about you, and you've had so much airtime already, and you're a very young man who's just made his debut. Perhaps what have you learnt tonight about how you can build or what you need to do from this?
Yeah, anything can happen, obviously, in the sport. I was aware of that. But it definitely is a tough pill to swallow, but there's different, obviously there was a hole in my game tonight, so it is what it is, This doesn't define me. It's my first fight. It's just a bump in the road, but I'll be back for sure. I've dealt with this throughout my career, but hey, everybody's lost before in this game, and I'm not going to go home and be depressed. I know what I need to do, so take a week off and I'll be back in the gym for sure.
Does it run through your mind that you want to fight this guy again straight away?
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to fight him again. But we'll see how everything plays out. But absolutely, to answer your question, I'd love to fight him again.
Thank you. A quick question for Brent Primus. Brent, I kind of brought up your history at the press conference at Viacom earlier in the week. And, what does it feel like now to have gone through that life and you're a world champion now at Madison Square Garden? I mean, are you at a place now where you can help other people to change their lives?
Yeah, man, it feels great. Like you said, I got kicked out when I was younger, and my dad was a dipshit and was in prison my whole life. And, I made a bunch of mistakes in my life too. And just to see where I've came from and done all the things that I've done, and, being here fighting in Madison Square Garden, and now I'm the lightweight world champion, it's surreal, man. It's crazy. I can't believe it. And you just gotta believe in yourself, and there's nothing that hard work can't do. And man, I'm on top of the world right now. I've sacrificed everything, and been away from my pregnant wife for months, and been injuries here and there, and just training my butt off, and it feels great, man. I'm on top of the world right now. It's great.
Thank you, Brent. And just a final question for Mr. Coker. Scott, can you perhaps put into context tonight, you've had half an hour since the event died down, and, perhaps the magnanimity of this event, the size of it, how it felt, the drama, the narrative that we all experienced tonight?
That's the thing about the fight business, is that you don't know what's going to happen. And, I talked to some of the reporters. I said, what do you guys think? Give me some predictions. And I don't think anybody got it completely right. And, somebody's out there going to kick you, going to punch you, going to take you down, going to wrestle you, going to submit you. I mean, this is something that's a very, hey, Joe. This is something that's a very, they're being put in harm's way. So I'm proud of all these guys, Gareth. At the end of the day, these guys are all, great martial artists, and the people that were supposed to win tonight won. And I know that for all of them, I think that they'll continue and go back to training camp in a week or two, and you start calling me in a couple of weeks saying, hey, when am I going to fight again? So, it's to be in New York, to have a fight card like this, and you guys saw the promotional push and the support that Viacom, gave to this event. And, really we have to thank John Slusser, Kevin Kay, who's over here. I thank Kevin, because they believe in MMA, and Viacom believes in mixed martial arts. And that's a good thing. So to be at the Garden, yeah, it was fantastic. It was amazing. It was unbelievable. It was a highlight of it was definitely one of the highlights of my life, to be promoting a fight in Madison Square Garden where Ali fought Frazier. All the great fights happened here. And I'm proud of all these guys, and I know they'll be back.
Вопрос, Федор Владимирович. Федор Владимирович, как вы себя чувствуете? Проходили у осмотр врачей? Есть какие-то предварительные сведения?
Спасибо большое, чувствую себя хорошо. Осмотр врачей прошел. Все нормально.
So the question was how Fedor was feeling after the fight. So Fedor is feeling, well, I'm feeling myself very good. So I just got the doctor's inspection. So everything was good.
And question to Matt Mitrione. Matt, do you believe in that what you did 1 hour before? Do you believe in that what you did? Now you understand that it's real, that you knocked out Fedor Emelianenko.
Yeah, sure I do. I mean, I believe in myself, right? So why should I be surprised at the awesome shit I do? I mean, yeah, dude, it was incredible. I'm so happy, man. Like, just, awesome. More awesomeness to go around. I don't know, man. It's great. I'm really happy.
Question is for Chael Sonnen. Why all the hate on the New York City crowd? They were chanting "Fuck you, Tito" for you.
Is that what they were saying?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then I might have to reconsider things. I couldn't hear that. I didn't know they were saying that. Tito is a really bizarre guy. I just lost to him for, you never rub a guy's face in it. You just don't do that. I'm getting ready to fight, and Tito's flipping me off and yelling terrible things at me. I just thought it was really bizarre. But if I could make one comment, aside from my fight, if I may make one comment, tonight, for me, this is the fan in me speaking. Tonight belongs to one guy, and that is Douglas Lima. He has been the Bellator highlight reel for years. He has been disrespected. If you understand how good Lorenz Larkin is, and I do, the message of tonight, for me as a fan, is Lima versus McDonald. That is the one thing that came out of tonight, and I really hope you guys write that.
Thanks, brother. It means a lot, Jim.
I mean that.
Thank you, brother.
Федор, Чайл вас вызвал на поединок. Вы готовы с ним встретиться?
So Fedor, the question is that Chael actually challenged you for the match. Do you agree just to meet with him in the match?
У нас разные весовые категории.
But we're in different weight divisions.
Chael, would you gain some weight to meet Fedor?
Yeah, man, I don't get into weigh-ins, and I would like to say this: I would never kick a guy when he's down. I respect Fedor. That was my way of pulling him back up. That match that he had could have gone either way. Mitrione's a rough son of a bitch, and people just don't understand that. And but he had a double knockdown, and Fedor was recovered, and Mitrione was recovered. I mean, all sorts of a mess was out there. I do want to make that clear, though. I respect Fedor, but I think that he and I's paths are going to cross sooner or later. Fedor gave up 20 pounds tonight to fight Mitrione. The difference between Fedor and I is less than that. So I wouldn't complain about size. Fedor didn't complain about taking on Mitrione and going up the size. I wouldn't complain with the discrepancy in our weight.
The question for Fedor, I just want to clarify, do you still want to fight after tonight?
Ну, конечно, я боец.
Yes, because I'm a fighter.
And just a question for Aaron. In hindsight, when this fight was announced, everyone was excited about your debut, but we did know that Zach had just fought for a belt in another organization at 10 pro fights. Do you feel like he was a little too experienced for your debut?
I mean, you know, I just wanted to. I felt like I could challenge myself, but hey, you make mistakes in life, and you know, it is what it is. But like I said, the only thing I can keep doing now is just keep going forward. I still feel my abilities are better. He's the better man today. He's the better man, and like I said, it's a tough pill to swallow, but nothing's changed. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing and get better. But that's off to Freeman. I mean, this fight was offered to a lot of people. A lot of people turned it down, but Freeman is a tough guy. I mean, he's 8-2. I've seen him fight. I knew it wasn't gonna be no easy task. That's what a lot of people. You know, didn't realize is that I wasn't coming in like, oh, I'm gonna just wreck this guy. I mean, I trained hard for the fight. I did what I had to do, but he came out on top, and that's just how it is. You know, this fight game is a crazy world, but I love it. I enjoyed every minute of it. My training went well. I enjoyed my time here in New York City, but the sun's gonna rise, and I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and I will be champ one day. I will be champ. It's just it's my first fight, and we keep going forward.
I know you probably haven't watched the fight, but is there a moment, is there a decision that you think in hindsight you made that led to the loss? Do you feel like you were a little too aggressive to start out?
Yeah, I mean, he caught me with that uppercut. The uppercut was a nice uppercut by him, but I think I just obviously taking that shot. I knew he was gonna try to get me to the ground somehow. It's just he's just strong in the jiu-jitsu, but I haven't really sat down and watched the whole film. But yeah, he got me with that uppercut, and then you know his choke was good. There's things that I need to work on, but like I said, we'll go to the drawing board with Bob and my team and evaluate where we go next and go from there.
Okay, and just a quick one for Brent. Brent, congratulations. Was Michael asking you to kick him in the leg? Was he like sort of egging you on at one point in the fight?
Yeah, he was. You know, he's and the guy's a warrior, but I think he knew he was hurt, and so he was trying to tell me to kick him so it didn't seem like he was hurt, but I knew he was hurt. You know, his leg kept on buckling, and like I said, man, I've been kicking the crap out of my training partners with that low kick, and I kick people 2 or 3 times with that low kick, and they ask me, please don't kick me again, and you know, without shin pads on, it does the job, you know. Yeah, you know, I kicked him, I knew he was hurt, and I started jumping on it, started kicking the crap out of that leg, and yeah, you know, for sure.
This question's for Chael. Chael, congratulations on a great performance.
Couldn't
you talked
have
about
happened to a better guy, Dwayne.
Oh, thank you, Chael. Thank you. January, you talked about here recently, just a couple minutes ago, about what the loss to Tito meant. Realistically speaking, how do or die was this for you? Because your profile, if you go out and lose tonight, how many more can you headline? You know, what happens from there? How much do or die pressure did you feel going into this fight with Wanderlei?
Well, I didn't feel any pressure, but I will concede to you that's a reality, man. You never know when it's your last fight. You know, there's an expression, you're never done with the business, but one day the business is going to be done with you, and that's just a reality. And, you know, I'll tell you, Dwayne, I'm looking at Aaron Pico. Younger guy, I don't usually look up to younger guys. I look up to Aaron Pico, though. He's special. He's different. And over my lifetime, the term fighter became corrupted. When I was a young man, a fighter was somebody that got up and did what they didn't want to do when the chips were down and it was hard. That's what a fighter did. And now it's about punching and kick. Man, everybody can punch and kick. That's not what fighting is. A fighter gets up and pushes forward. And, you know, so as far as when could it be your last one, I wouldn't deny any of that. You know, if you're not winning, you don't belong on top. And that's just a reality. We got a young crop, and we got a bunch of rough guys around here, and I think there's a lot of people that could do that job. So, yeah, I don't deny anything you said.
And this question's for Matt. You know, Matt, we write the stories. We blow everything up to make, you know, these romantic moments and whatnot, because that's the fight game. You know, realistically speaking, now that you have this win over Fedor, what does that mean to you?
It means I got paid. That's about it. I mean, like, he's who he is, man. I mean, it means I got another fight in a couple of months, and I can't wait to get working on somebody else. That's what that means.
And one real quick for Scott. The heavyweight title picture, what does that look like right now?
I mean, I think you just got a little bit clearer. But we'll have something to announce soon. I know we've been kind of dragging on that a little bit, but we've been beefing up the other divisions, and now it's time to focus on the heavyweights.
And one last one for you. Tonight, a young Irishman stepped up and did a phenomenal job in capitalizing on the moment in a huge crowd. What's it like? I bet that's a good problem to have, right?
I mean, when I think of James Gallagher, I think a kid that, you know, he walks the walk and talks the talk, right? So, you know, it's refreshing to have people that can actually go out there and back it up. And he's a guy that is a young prospect. He's got a great future ahead of him. And, you know, we got some good fights for him ahead. Him and A.J. McKee, I think, in the future will lock horns. And, you know, we just got a lot of guys that are in that weight class that will have some good challenges for him.
Scott, real quick, do we know what the gate in attendance was tonight, by chance?
It was 12,133. So it was a good attendance, yeah.
For Zach, I talked to you beforehand. You said an ideal scenario that you'd make it a 3-round grueling war and then you would finish him in the third. Well, this one was very fast. You were able to pounce on him early. Like, is there any, I mean, you'll take it like this, right? I mean, is this how you, could you have envisioned it was going to go like that?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to Scott and Bellator for an amazing opportunity to showcase my skills. I was nobody, you know, yesterday. I still don't feel like I'm somebody, but I did get some attention, I think, from this. I think I made a statement. But to answer your question, I think that, you know, I think a fight can go any way, you know. And a 3-round war is what I have to train for. If you train to knock somebody out in the first round, which is what was said was going to be done, then you kind of, you know, you can put yourself in a tough position. So I think the fact that I train for the worst situation, which is a 3-round war with somebody, 5-round war, I think that when it does come to a knockout or a submission really quick, it only makes it that more sweeter. So thanks for the question.
You also just, you said that people who knew you, they looked at your losses, they would see your videos and things like that. You kind of joked about the situation, him getting all the promotional push and everything else, but deep down, I mean, did it mean something for you to come in here and do this on that level just to...
It meant everything. Yeah. It meant the world to me, my family, my friends, everyone back in St. Louis. I mean, they all know who I am as a fighter. You know, my last loss, I had a compound fractured hand, and I fought for 5 rounds with it and didn't give up. I fought to get a submission. I didn't come through. And the guy, he's a top prospect as well, Thiago Moises. I think he'll be signing with another promotion. But the fact that, you know, I just had surgery, and I want to say in October. So, you know, I turned around pretty quickly, got into a camp, and took a fight. You know, it's not easy to come back from surgery right away and punch with your hand again. But it worked tonight.
Zach, did you just say every woman back in Missouri? Did I hear you say that?
No. But yeah, but all the women. Yeah.
Because that would have been a cool line if you did. I thought you said every woman in Missouri, they all know who I am.
I'm surprised you're talking to me, Kale. You've like ignored me all week.
Well, let's pretend you did say that. Let's make that your line.
All right. Well, thank you.
All the women in Missouri know this guy.
No, I'm not that cool.
2 quick questions here. First, Douglas, we've had you on the show. We've talked how you survived the Bjorn Rebney era, the tournament era. You're now here at Scott Coker. How nice is it getting this win and starting to get, you know, the respect from media, from fellow fighters that you are one of the top welterweights in the world? There's no matter if it's UFC, Bellator, you're one of those top guys.
Yeah, it feels good, man. It feels really good. That's what I've been wanting, that people recognizes that I knew I could fight, I could beat any of these, top 10 guys. And, I'm just happy, Scott, Bellator gave me the opportunity to prove that. I feel I can beat anybody, and I just beat a top 5, and I was going to be a top 4 when I beat Rory, or 3.
Scott, we spoke with Heather Hardy. I know that the fans loved her. I'm guessing the TV followers loved her. She said there's a co-promotional deal with you and her boxing promoter. is there thought of signing other female boxers, maybe Amanda Serrano or sister, try to get more women's boxers who want the spotlight?
You know, I had a nice chat with Lou at our press conference, our media day on Thursday, and we had a nice talk about his boxers, and some of them really want to come to MMA, and I think that we're going to do some type of deal with Lou where, you know, we'll be a, you know, an outlet for his boxers that want to fight, and you know, if we have some, you know, of our fighters that want to box, well, maybe we'll send them to Lou. So that's a conversation we're having. But it's gonna be a good relationship, and you know, he's gonna bring some more talent to us.
Hey Scott, unless I missed it, you mentioned the attendance, but do you have a gate for this evening?
I don't have a gate, but I'm sure Danny could get it to you or Megan by the end of tonight.
And then obviously it's early, but any kind of indication just in terms of the pay-per-view product? Was it, you know, there are indicators, or was it trending in the right way? Was there any kind of data that anybody told you tonight?
I think that I think we were trending all night. I mean, we're number one on Twitter all night, right? There you go. So, I mean, you know, this fight had a lot of heat, and it was promoted, I think, extremely well. And you know, and this is our first one, so you know, we're excited to come back. And do a pay-per-view maybe beginning of next year, and then keep going. And like we talked about, we're not going to do this just to do it every month, but when we do it, there'll be mega fights and big events just like this.
And how about this market and this location? What did you find out about that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're at Madison Square Garden, and this is, you know, the most, you know, iconic sports venue in the world. So it was a special occasion. Viacom is located here, right up the street in Midtown. In Times Square, and it was really special. It just felt like all the pieces came together, you know, in a proper manner. So to be at Madison Square Garden, have a big fight. I mean, there's some extremely talented fighters and some, you know, there's some talent up here. I mean, I've been around this fight business a long time, and there's some talent in that room tonight, and they gave it their all. So extremely proud of these guys, and I thought the media, thank you guys. You guys covered us extremely well all, you know, for the whole week and leading up to the fight. I think this is the most coverage we've ever had for an event, and this was the one to do it. So, you know, we'll be back, you know, to do something next year, and whether it's here or, you know, it could be in LA or it could be, you know, I don't know, it could be Dallas or maybe the Bay Area, but that hasn't been decided yet.
On the Pico Freeman fight, you know, we've seen some of your other big wrestling prospects. You haven't put them on the main card. You know, you put them on a prelim, even if it's a televised card. And this time it was Madison Square Garden, it was pay-per-view, it was all that. Looking back, do you think that maybe that wasn't the right situation to put him in, or is that, you know, hindsight's always 20/20? Do you think it was maybe too much?
You know, one thing I would say is this: don't judge Aaron Pico or Freeman based on just what you saw today. You know, it's like these guys are both tremendous athletes, very talented, and you know, Pico's going to have a great career ahead of him. I know, because his work ethic is amazing. And when we decided to put him on the main card, that was a decision that really we talked to the coaches and said, "What do you guys want to do?" And they were not looking for a fight with somebody that had no fights or one fight. They really wanted to test Aaron, so that's what we did. And you know what? It's a fight. I mean, you know, it's not. This is something that, you know, you guys get it. It's like anything can happen, and you know what happened, and it just proves that you know that in the fight business, you know, you make one wrong move, and you know it can end.
And Aaron, how about you during this week? Aaron, right in front of you. Just during the week, and you know, being in New York and knowing this was your professional debut, and this is just a unique situation. We don't see a lot of guys make a debut in those circumstances. What did you feel any pressure this week? What was that sort of spot like?
No, honestly, this week I felt really good. I had like my training partners here, my dad was here, but I was enjoying it. I had a really good time. But coming into the fight, I mean, obviously I'm always a little nervous, but I felt good in the cage. I felt really good. Like I said, one little mistake and it was a bad night. But no, I mean, like anything else, I felt like, I mean, before a big wrestling tournament or before, you know, when I'd box, I mean, I still felt the same. But I was enjoying it. I had a great time. I mean, there's nothing else to say. But except for tonight, I mean, it's not very good. But I've enjoyed everything leading up to it for sure.
I'm sure this will be an answer that you come to over time. But a quick fight like that, how much can you learn from it?
I'm sure I have a lot to learn. I mean, I'll be, talking to Bob Cook soon. We're even discussing what I can do in the back and just working on different positions and getting back in my jiu-jitsu. But I just need to get, cage time. That's the most important thing for me, is just getting experience. Obviously this wasn't very long, but at the end of the day, it was still some time. It's better than nothing. So I'll be back. I'm not injured or anything like that. So I can fight whenever. But I'll sit down with my team and see where we go from here. But nothing's changed. Like I said, we're just gonna keep going forward, and I love what I do every day. I wake up with a passion to fight and do what I love every day. So I'm still gonna do everything I said I'm gonna do.
First question is for Zach. So you fought today. You used your distance very well, even though it was a short fight. I was very impressed in the sense of how much space you gave, and then you used your technique. Who do you want to fight next? I'm very curious because I would like to see a longer three warrior match.
A 3-round war.
3-round war, okay.
Yeah, it's what us fighters prepare for. As far as calling anybody out, it's not really my style, hence the nickname. And if you're interested how I got that nickname, can I explain? So pretty much I was weighing in at my second amateur fight, and the announcer came up to me and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, I'm weighing in to fight. And he said, "You're a fighter?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "You look more like an altar boy than a fighter." So it just kind of stuck. So that's kind of how I got that. So I like to remain humble. I did get a little, I got pumped up in the cage. I was excited. Just being the underdog and not really having the backing that he was given, and to come out on top, and all the hard work I put in, and just everything came together, and it meant the world to me. So thank you for your question.
And last question is for Sonan. I interviewed the first time, and we had Silva on the screen. I want to know, how did you feel with the disrespect of your wife, and in the end, the outcome of the match, and what did this fight mean to you and to your family?
It was a really hard fight. I felt like I dominated position on him, but every time I tried to sit up to do some kind of damage, he would move. I thought I was a better fighter than him, but I thought he was a really tough guy. He would never give up in positions. I landed some shots. He defended well. I thought he was a really tough guy, but he even pushed me after the fight. I didn't know what he was so upset about, and he and I just don't get along. There's just no way around it. It's kind of like me and Tito. There's just no way to shake hands and go on about your life. It's just not. It's just going to be tension and contention. And as far as my wife goes, she was very happy. I FaceTimed her, and I hope that answered your question.
Last one, I'm sorry. You called him Mr. Gobble, or you were saying...
Garble.
Garble.
When he speaks, all I hear is like garble, garble, garble. I can't make out a word he says.
In the ring, he was speaking at the end of the match. How did it affect you? Did you understand him then at all? Did you even try to speak to him, or what was your train of thought in between that whole process?
No, I never know how that was going to go. Generally in sport, I came from a wrestling background. You shake hands before the match, you shake hands after the match, and I kind of waited for Vanderlei. I was going to give him a nod and, hey, we finished this. Let's go on about our way. But it didn't work that way. He yelled something at me and then he shoved me, and I'm fine with that too. We don't all have to get along. This is the ass whipping business. I mean, we don't have to get along. It didn't hurt my feelings, but it did surprise me.
A question for Naaman. Wait. So you're supposed to be on the television portion, and then people noticed your fight wasn't coming up, and all of a sudden, sometime later, you got announced for the pay-per-view. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, of course. I think like every time they gave me an opportunity, I take it, and I've been doing good when they give me the opportunity, So they give me the opportunity to be on the pay-per-view, and I took it, and I think I did good, I could have done better, but I did good, yeah.
And Shale, a couple of questions for you here. First question is, you defeated Shogun Hua before, and now you defeated Vanderlei. Do you think your style is especially good against those types of shoot-to-box fighters, or What do you think about that?
Man, those guys are really well trained. I respect Rafael Cadero. I mean, he's won Coach of the Year a number of times from the MMA awards. So those guys are really prepared. Vanderlei hasn't been in the ring in a long time, and I was just in his shoes. I mean, it's a hard spot to be in. He went 15 minutes. I think that's good experience, and you know, you just got to keep moving forward. That's really what being a fighter is about. And I want to try to, you know, say I was better than him or things like that. I was a little better than him tonight, and I dominated some positions. But I got things to work on, too. You know, I had some good spots in there, and I had opportunities to sit up and look for strikes. I saw some submission attempts, and I didn't go for them. You know, we both got to get better. We were both out of there a little bit, and we have to get better.
You mentioned 15 minutes. Now, at the end of the fight, Vanderlei seemed like he was visibly angry at the referee for not doing a stand-up. I guess he felt you weren't doing enough damage, but you were active, so the referee chose to leave you in the position. Now, in hindsight, do you wish there had been two more rounds to this fight, a 5-round fight, or what do you think about that?
No, I felt like I got my point across, and yeah, Vanderlei did say something to the ref. I was in mount, I was in full mount, and he wanted a stand up, which I don't think you can do within the rules. I don't think Big John was about to fall for that, but I did hear it, and I remember thinking, are they going to stand us up from this position? So, I don't know, man. Those fights go so fast. He hit me really hard in the first or second round. He dropped me. I've never been dropped in my career before, and he put me down, and I kind of lost track of that match a little bit.
First question is for Brent. Brent, I'm curious, it's still too early to tell, but what are your thoughts on facing Michael Chandler in your first title defense?
You know, I've looked up to Chandler for a long time, you know, ever since I started watching Bellator and watching fighting. And, you know, Chandler's a great champion in the cage and outside of the cage. And like I said before, you know, it's a true honor to go in there and get to fight that guy. You know, I've looked up to him for a long, long time. And he's a badass, you know, and it was awesome to get in there and getting to go fight with that guy. Man, it's crazy. I've been looking at Instagram and all these haters are, you know, saying that I got lucky or whatever. But man, a kick is just like a punch, and you know, a kick can end a fight just like a punch. And I have literally been practicing that one kick on all my training partners and been devastatingly hurting my training partners. And they're lucky I have shin guards on. And tonight I did not have shin guards on, and that shows what happens. You know, that's a little bone that I was attacking, and I kicked it, and I really believe I broke that bone. And you know, that's how the fight game goes. You know, people underestimate people, and we're fighting in there with 4-ounce gloves, and anything can happen. And I proved that, you know, anything can happen. You know, I believed in myself, and I always have. And like I said before, I really, really thank Bellator for giving me the shot and believing in me. And I'm honored to fight Chandler again. You know, like I said, I still look up to that guy. He's a champion. He's a warrior. But right now, I'm the champion, so I can't wait to get in there and fight him again.
And Scott, what is the likelihood that we would see an immediate rematch at 155?
I mean, we got to assess Michael Chandler's injury. I mean, he might need surgery if it's, you know, broken, so I'm not sure. And if it does, he might be out for an extended period of time. So we'll see. When we have more information, we'll get you guys an update.
And then, Chael, you did some training with Brent. I'm curious if you have taken any of those leg kicks yourself, and you seem to be pumping up a lot of your fellow fighters here, so I'm curious if you could also maybe assess Brent's performance.
Yeah, you know, I really think Michael Chandler's like probably the best guy we got under contract around here, and I was telling anyone that would listen, Brett Primus is the man for the job. He's undefeated. He's young. Two things that Michael Chandler always has. He's always a little bigger than his opponent. He's always a little stronger. Well, those things were negated. Brett Primus is huge. He's weighed out of practice before 190 pounds in the offseason. He's tough. He's strong. I knew that was going to be a really hard fight, and you know, we haven't found anybody that can beat him yet. And I don't know who it's going to be. I just have so much respect for Chandler. I want to see that rematch. I believe we're going to see that rematch. If you ask Coker right now, I think that, you know, if Chandler can heal up, that's probably what's going to be next. I'm just making my prediction. But, yeah, man, they haven't found a man out there that can beat him yet. I don't think we need to question him too much longer, do we?
Quick question for Chael. You mentioned about going for submissions. How close do you think you were to hitting that can opener?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I sure had that tight. I was waiting for his legs to open. I wanted to pass there, and I felt like I had it tight. I mean, he scrambled a little bit, but every time the going got tough, man, he got going. I can't take that from every single time there was some tough spot, and he could have flicked it or quit. He would go. He'd push the knee out of the way. He'd stand up. He'd throw a big punch and knock me down. He was a tough guy, man. I don't like the son of a bitch, but he's tough.
Hi, Brent Primus. Congratulations on winning the title tonight.
Thank you.
Did it get under your skin a little bit that you got booed in the post-fight and Chandler got cheered?
A little bit, but I know he's the people's champion. He's been, Bellator's, poster boy for a long time, and I understand that. And like I said, people don't understand, man. Like, a kick can end the fight just as well as a punch, and I've been practicing the exact same kick for a long time, and it doesn't surprise me at all. I kicked his leg, and I felt his bone, and I really believe I broke that. And it is what it is, man. I kicked the crap out of him, and I saw that he was hurt, and I kept on kicking it, and I had him injured, and so to all you haters, awesome.
And for Pico, after Freeman got the choke, it looked like you were a little dazed. Was that more of a physical or a emotional reaction?
I was good after the choke. I mean, they asked me where I was at. I answered all the questions, but just a little emotional. Just like, damn, what just happened? But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Good.
Question for Neiman Gracie. Congratulations, bro. How tight was that guillotine? Did it affect you at all? It didn't seem to be that strong.
I've been getting guillotined by Renzo since I'm 10 years old, so that was fine, yeah.
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
And a question for Fedor. Fedor, as Scott Coker said, anyone can go in the sport, one mistake, and you can lose. Is there anything you would have won different in this fight? Is there any changes you would have made? You've had a 10-year period where you had no losses. Maybe you were a little overconfident. Is there anything you would have changed?
В спорте все может случиться, как говорит Скотт Кокер. Вот после сегодняшнего матча что-нибудь вы поменяли? У вас было 10 лет путь победы, без всяких, может быть, вы были где-то слишком самоуверены. Что-то сделали бы вы, что-то изменили бы? Do you mean this particular fight?
It's on.
Go ahead. It's on.
For this particular fight, is there anything you would have done a little differently?
Да, именно после этого боя, вот для этого боя вы сейчас думаете, вы бы, может быть, что-нибудь изменили, по-другому бы готовились? То есть у вас 10 лет было?
Нет, я бы готовился так же с моими тренерами. И, здесь я считаю, что в тренировочном процессе я выложился на все 100%.
Well, I don't think that. I don't think that I would have changed anything during my preparation for this particular fight, because I would be training the same way with my coaches, and I can tell you that during my camp, I just worked out really with all my energy, invested all my energy and forces into it.
So you would have approached Mitrione the same exact way as you did in the fight?
Да, я бы готовился с теми же тренерами, с теми же спарринг-партнерами.
Yes, I think I would. I will be training with the same coaches and with the same sparring partners.
And I'm Kristal Hart reporting from Madison Square Garden here in New York City. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the fights.